I just screwed this up, right? Like this just happened, or hey, I just had this team completely ghost me. I don't like cold calling people. People are rude.
Go, 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 call, grind, grind, grind.
I work extremely hard to really never have a cold call.
Because I've had relationships that I should have ended.
Some of these relationships are seasonal. It's one person,
100%.
one conversation, then led to the others.
I'm going to do whatever I got to do to win. Legally, ethically, morally, all of those things.
You'll get to a tipping point where you start to realize the higher quality ones come to you.
What's up, everybody? Grant Wise here. Welcome back to the Partner Profit Podcast, the show where we teach you how to turn your relationships into revenue. Today, I am excited to interview a guy that is an expert at doing just that. Meet Mr. Brian Covey. Brian, man, thanks for spending some time with me today.
Grant, excited to be joining, my friend.
Yeah, I'm excited to finally get to talk to you. I feel like I've known you forever, and I've never actually met you, so it's nice. I've followed you for so long. We've talked a lot. You've introduced me to some amazing people, and so yeah, I'm really pumped and grateful to spend some time with you.
Likewise, yeah, we had a lot of good referrals and follow each other's content, and you feel like you know each other through that.
Yeah.
This will be even better.
So for people that are listening and maybe don't know who you are, give us a little bit of backstory. How did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, former professional soccer player. That was my dream. Played D1 college soccer at University of Memphis. I was I call it vertically challenged goalkeeper. I was not 6 feet tall like the prototypical, so I had to work to be very good at other areas, and that was my dream. I wanted to go play and do all that. After I played here in Nashville for a little bit, I came back and couldn't get hired anywhere, couldn't get a job. Finally landed at a career fair with Wells Fargo Financial, and that was the very sexy, right? Like furniture financing, credit card loans, auto loans, personal loan, like all this stuff, right? In a strip center, if you can imagine. But I did cut my teeth. I had a phenomenal manager at the time, taught me how to cold call, taught me how to build relationships, sell over the phone, sell in person, underwrite, process. Like I learned the loan business, like credit, income, and assets. Then I transitioned to Wells Fargo on the mortgage side, spent almost 13 years there, and have been in the independent mortgage side for almost 24 years now, be 25 this December. And man, it all just came out of like my wife and I buying our first house, and then we got into real estate investing, and I've stayed in it because I just know it's one of the paths to build wealth in the United States. And so that's been my journey. Originated, built teams, a lot of different things along the way, but that's my bread and butter.
Man, I love it. I always like to ask this question to athletes is what do you feel like soccer taught you about business in hindsight? Because a lot of times you don't really know when you're playing the game, but then when you get into business, there's so many lessons that get pulled over.
Oh man, I love this question. Well, three that come to mind right away. One, the resilience piece of we would run every year, and, again, goalkeeper, we would run 2 miles in under 12 minutes. That was the fitness test when you came in, called the Cooper test back then. And for me, I had to train for that, right? Like I just wasn't built to do that. I wasn't super fast at running that. And so resilience, meaning like, even when I tore my ACL at the end of my freshman year, conference final, to come back and play again the next year, you're injured, you lose a game, you maybe don't play as much. Like the resilience through that is like business. Like there's days nothing seems to be working. And then there are days you're like, man, we're on a winning streak. Like my freshman year, we won 5 games in a row and we're getting all these accolades. Right after that though, at some point you lose a game. And how do you bounce back? So I would say resiliency. 2, in business, and I know we'll touch on some of this today, is the relationships. Like you go through 4 years, and I was a freshman, I was fortunate to start, but then my last 2 years I got to be a captain, which is a very different vantage point than being the newbie and trying to earn my spot, work through. But every year there was a new group, new chemistry, people that were coming and going, in businesses like that, right? Like team members come, team members leave. You need to scale, you need to hire. And the last one I would tell you is the work that's done outside of practice. The people that excelled and got to the next level, what I realized is to go from high school to college was a different level and required different skill sets, different expertise and all. To go from college to pro was also a very different level. In business is the same way. As you go through every level, you're always going to be challenged. You're not going to feel like you're ready. And coaches have always helped me, and mentors acclimate and assimilate to that next level and learn from people that were further ahead. Just like in sports, hey, if you've been playing in the league 5 years, I'm going to come talk to you. What can I learn from you? What do I need to know? Same thing in business. Find people further ahead in that specific area, ask questions, and learn. So those are 3 that come to my mind that, man, on a daily basis, tap into them at any different point.
I love sports. I don't know how many sports I played growing up, but I was a triathlete through, I think like maybe junior year. I don't remember exactly when it was, but then I went all in on baseball, and that's where I landed. I probably could have done something in football. I was an outside linebacker, and I loved to hit people. So I don't know if maybe I chose the wrong pathway. I ended up having like I think I had 3 major surgeries my last year of sports. I got hit in the face I took a fastball to the face, and I had reconstructive facial surgery. And then I ended up having 2 elbow surgeries in 2008. So that same year, facial reconstruction, then 2 surgeries. And I was like, I think I'm done. I don't think I've got it in me anymore. But I tend to identify as a business athlete. Like, I just think that there are so many parallels to sports and business, and all the way down to keeping score, like on a daily basis and stuff like that. So I was like asking that question to athletes, because I know there are so many things that you learn in sports that you use in business, and appreciate that. How do you turn your relationships into revenue? So the mortgage industry is almost all relationships. So it seems like a fitting question, but like, what is it? How do you turn your relationships into revenue in your business?
Great question. I think depending on how you approach your business and how you define success, I think really does matter. And why I start there is success for me has changed with 3 kids. I got one in college, one's a junior in high school, and we got a 10-year-old in 4th grade, right? Like, I started thinking about all these people that we come in contact with. And I never forget, years ago, I was at a conference with one of our friends, Ken Jocelyn, and he talked about this power of proximity. And I'm like, okay, like, explain this to me, right? Like, I know being in the right rooms. I know, like, knowing the right people. Like, I've got some referral partners, people that send me business, and like, all that's cool. But I started to look at it very different. And this was, I can look back and literally go, okay, this is when I started to really understand it, was you can go deep with people. And he shared this concept of the outer ring, if you're to think about 3 rings, is this larger community. So I think about social, people you may talk to once a quarter, maybe even once or twice a year. Like, they're just people that are in your life, but you're not really spending a lot of time with. But they are important, because that community could be relationships that if you went deeper, spent more time, or the right season, the right alignment, you guys could partner. Well, when you move in from there, the one I really started to pay more attention to was then my circle. And those are people, smaller group, but I'm spending more time on a regular basis. These are people I'm talking to more frequently. These are people who are probably in real estate, mortgage, financial services. Like, we know there's alignment. We know we need to be doing things together. It's upon me to make sure I'm reaching out, being proactive, going to these events, spending time with them, having them on the podcast. Like, all of these things start to happen. And Grant, I started to just look for opportunities. Who can I have on the show with my podcast? Who are the people I can go help speak at their events? Who are the people I can help solve problems for? And just intentionally reach out and be part of their life. And part of that is my content strategy, is how I show up on social. But then I started to realize there's this other group, and that's your corner. And I would say my biggest breakthroughs have always been from one person. Not 5 people at one time, not 3 people at one time, one person. That even as recent as when I made the move over to cross country last April, it was one person making one introduction. And then I started to go through that process to say, okay, this is what we want to build. This is my vision. This is what I define success would look like for all of us. And it was one person that then led to many people there. And so how I approach it now is very intentional. I know which group that they're in. That determines how much time, how much effort, how much resource I provide as I go through it. And I'm always looking for people, Grant, especially in that corner group, that are further along in either their spiritual walk, their financial walk, their business, savvy and success, their entrepreneurship journey. I've had people, 2 years ago when I had my real health breakthrough, it's almost been 2 years when I started that, finding somebody that was just further along in that journey that helped me create a breakthrough. So I look at it as people that I can serve, and also people that can help me become the best version of Brian during that season. And so relationships for me have always just been one where that proximity, being in the room with the right people, you never know the one person that could absolutely change your life. And that's the stories we hear, is one person, 100%. One conversation, then led to the others. And so that's been my approach to it. And I will kind of end with this, is it always starts for me as like my family is the center of that. And then I start to branch out. Anybody that's not adding value, if they're pulling away from that and distraction, pulling away from my faith, pulling away from my journey somewhere, like I start to really curate those. And over time, there's only certain people that I'm really going to choose to invest with. And I think that's helped me, not trying to be all things to all people.
And I think that's a hard thing for people to wrap their mind around sometimes, because they have a hard time creating boundaries and doing those types of things. That's something that you had to wrestle with over time. I mean,
still do.
I know that I've had those types of things. I've had relationships that I should have ended, long before I did, and all that stuff. So I know that can be hard for people.
Yeah, still do, and I'll give you, what we do is there's a Sunday success planning ritual that we've got. So my wife, Nicole, and I, we'll go through that. We'll plan out the week. And I'll tell you where it shows up is two spots. It's like when I'm planning out the week, the first thing we do is put the kids' sports in there because that's non-refundable time. And I've realized with one in college now, like you don't get those games back. You don't get those things back. And so I always look at, am I being present? And I don't say 100% of the time because the reality is there are going to be times I need to travel. And so I'm not 100% there, but when I am there, I am there. Like that's how I think being present and that presence effect shows up. But as far as the relationships, I do believe there are seasons in all of our lives that people are going to come in for seasons and then they may not be there for the long run. And there's very few that I can look back and go, Grant, 10 years ago, they were in my life. Like I've got some people on our mortgage team, several of them actually, we've all been together for over 10 years. That is rare, but it does happen. And so to invest and to support them, but to always remember some of these relationships are seasonal in the sense of they need you for a season, you might need them for a season. And I'm always of the mindset of let me show up and be my best in that season. And if it continues, it continues. But if someone ever deviates, kind of to your point earlier, and I realize it's not healthy one way or the other, then just be quick to make the change and be okay with it.
Yeah.
And I used to think I had to save all these people and I had to show up for all these people. Like, man, I gotta help them do this. And I just realized like, maybe that's not my assignment. Maybe God has somebody else that he's going to, and they're going to help them. And that's hard for people that want to people pleasers, help other people. And that's my tendency. So the more I've said no to that and just said, you know what, if they're supposed to be in my life, they're going to be in my life. And I'm going to lean in on that.
A big part of your job is recruiting, right? And so I'm curious, mortgage industry, real estate industry, we do a lot of work in the home services industry. These are some of the most sold to industries in existence. How do you start a conversation with somebody that maybe doesn't want to talk to you? What are some of your strategies there?
Well, I can tell you the old way was horrible. Is I would back to like when I started in the business is like cold calling.
Yeah.
And it's been about 7 years ago. I hired an executive coach that we connected up with Richard. Yeah. And I remember going to Richard and I was just down, man. I was like, I hate this. I don't like cold calling people. People are rude. They're going to tell you this. They don't do this. And they got people they're supposed to start. They don't even show up. And then they lie to you. And I'm like, I'm doing something wrong. He's like, maybe you're not. What if we tried this approach? And he shared this whole attractive leader piece. And so what I started to build was this online personal brand. And I started to go to events. I started to connect up with people. So they got an introduction to Brian before I was there. They saw a video with me before the conversation. So what I was doing is basically removing the friction point that I didn't enjoy, which was the cold call. And this attractive leader now is showing up in their market. And I was showing up in such a way and just giving value, giving away secrets, giving away what we're doing. And I remember I had people actually call me for the first time and go, hey, see what you're doing over there. See your team's winning. What's going on? What do you like about it? What's happening? Hey, here are the problems I'm having. And over time, you just start to multiply that. You get better at it. You start to realize what's there. And so I say today is like, I work extremely hard to really never have a cold call. Meaning, if I'm going to have a meeting with someone today with social, the way that it's all set up is someone's going to go research me before the call anyway. And so I want to show up in a way that they know who I am, they know what my values are, they know enough about me, that call's just warm. And so many times, Grant, I'll go into it, if we've never spoken before, it's not going to feel cold. It's not going to feel like that old, like very much dialing and cold. However, I will do some of that with text messages, DMs. I like to go in that route. And one of my strategies that's worked really well is an engagement strategy. And I actually took my top 25 and I would engage on their content every day that they posted for 90 days. At some point, they're going to want to reciprocate that. At some point, they're going to be curious. At some point, I found they would reach out to me. And it was all sincere. I was reviewing their content. There's somebody I actually enjoy their content. I actually would want to work with them. I'm not going trying to be someone I'm not. That is not the game. But it is just leaning in on their content. If their kids did something cool, if they went to a sports event, if they did something, find connections with the people. And what I was doing was just learning who they are. Is this really somebody I want to pursue? Is this somebody I'd want to join our team? And over that period of time, what I found out is some people I would remove and some people I would lean in even more and I would start to go through that. So on the recruiting side, I think we have a unique advantage if you're willing to show up and build your personal brand. If you're willing to show up and engage with people authentically in a real way, then I have found, even just this month, we're going to hire a team that reached directly out to me through our mini chat that we set up on Instagram. And it goes through a series of connections and back and forth conversation. I didn't have that last year. And so I'm excited about that. This year, I've already gotten 3 really quality leads, 1 team we're going to hire. And I'm looking at that going, man, that eliminated my whole thing of not liking cold calls. So finding ways that are able to connect with people, but I'm always connecting. I'm always like my social media is always out there to connect with people. And I'm always responding to comments that are there. I'll then take that to a DM. If somebody responds into a post that I've done and it's a thoughtful comment, I'll drop them a little note, right? Like, hey, Grant, thank you so much for engaging in my post. I loved what you shared there. If you got anything else you want to add, or hey, how have you handled this before? Be human. Like, just create a conversation. And then what I found from there is, look, when the time's right, I think you're going to know if you're paying attention to it and you've got good kind of emotional intelligence about that. And then you move the conversation into the next stage.
It sounds like a paradigm shift from what industry teaches is go, 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 call, grind, to, really flipping to like, okay, no, I'm going to intentionally create content and curate experiences that allow people to want to come and actually work with me. Was there a shift for you where you felt like, oh man, what am I doing? Am I doing this thing the right way? Because when you shift and you start trying to attract, there's a period of time where it feels like everything just goes dark.
Yeah, it doesn't work right away. If you think you're just gonna go out there and post this week or this month, and you're like, Brian said, yeah, guys, this is 7 years of compounded interest, basically, right? Is the way I look at it, of people that have seen the content over and over and over. And you just don't know when that's gonna resonate with them. But if you do it with goodwill, it will work. And so in the early stages, you're really running a hybrid approach. You're still reaching out to people. I was still sending text messages. I was still calling people. I was doing anything I could do. I was asking our team members that were here, hey guys, who do you know in the market? Who should I be talking to join our team? You're doing the traditional ways, right? Calling your referral partners that are real estate agents, financial planners, all this. Guys, who do you know that's in the mortgage space that I should know? And so I was still building those lists, curating, reaching out. You'll get to a tipping point where you start to realize the higher quality ones come to you. And you'll realize that because it'll be people reaching out to you. And what I share is, you need to be prepared for those conversations because most are not. Meaning, when they reach out to you, you need to ask quality questions to understand why they really reached out. And a simple one is, hey Grant, thank you so much for reaching out. Could you tell me what prompted you? What initially got you to reach out to me? And they may not answer it right away, right? They go, oh, I just wanted to catch up. I wanted to see what you're doing. It's like, man, that's awesome. I would love for us, like, we're going to catch up. I'd love to hear what's going on there. But I often find there's something you want to accomplish on the call. You want to ask me on the call today. You might feel a little bit weird about asking it, but like, I just want to give you permission, like, ask whatever it is about what we're doing, what's going on in your world. Like, I want to give you value. And you called to get an answer or to connect up on something. And so I just want to make sure I include that in our conversation. Is that fair? You'd be surprised how many people will actually then lean in and go, hey, you know what? I'm struggling with this. Or hey, here's what's happening. Or hey, I heard this is going on. Hey, what about this? And the goal of that is really just to create a safe environment for a conversation. And this is where most people will get the next stage wrong. It is not time for you to sell. It is not time for you to invite them on your team at this moment. Just listen. Just ask the questions. Keep going through that. And then in the conversation, leaving them wanting more. Leave them wanting more from you. And that gives you the ability to set up a next step with them of, hey, you know what? This has been a great conversation. I know we didn't get to cover everything today. Why don't we set up some time next week? And then you start to move them through. Because what I found in my process where I was breaking down and not following up well, I didn't have really good quality next steps. So we'd leave this wonderful conversation. I'm like, well, now what? Where do we go from here? You ever left those before? And you're like, man, this was really good. And now what? Well, when you leave, we all have all these other things going on in our life. In 2 hours, if not sooner, it will be forgotten. And so that was something that started to help me through this and just really to shift the process and my mindset into building relationships. And then when the time's right, you really will almost want them to ask you, hey, what would it look like for me to join your team? I've actually had people ask that. Hey, what would the next steps look? Could we go ahead and get an offer going? Cool. Like, wouldn't that be awesome? Then you've covered the thing, right? And it feels like they didn't get sold. It wasn't a, man, let me put this big offer in front of you. Man, if you accept it, this is going to be great. And then we'll figure it out when you get here. Get to knowing them sooner in the process. It's changed everything. I think that's why retention's much higher.
I think that people don't realize that, like in marketing, you really learn that every step in a process is designed to sell the next step in a process. If I put something out on social media, and let's say I have a webinar, well, the social media post is designed to sell people on going to look at the landing page. And then the landing page's job is designed to get them to opt into watch the webinar. And then the reminder sequence is designed to get them to show up to the webinar. And then the webinar itself is designed to get them to take the next step. And I just don't think people sit down and they really think a lot of that through sometimes, and you're 100% right. Like having a sales process, a predefined series of steps that you're going to take with people, you shouldn't go at this, something I learned that's in sports as well. Like you don't attack things unintentionally. You want to have a plan for most of the steps that you take. And I want to respect your time. So I'm just going to ask this one question. I want to go back to what you said a second ago, talking about the attractive leader framework. And you reminded me I need to call Richard and get him on the show. But I'm curious, what goes into you building this desirable personal brand that makes people want to actually reach out and work with you? What goes into building the attractive leader brand for yourself so that people are like, I got to call Brian?
Oh man, great question. Well, the thing that I look back on is when I got just real about sharing me, like things I do on the weekend, my kids, like all the things, like, hey man, here's something, I just screwed this up, right? Like this just happened. Or, hey, I just had this team completely ghost me. Have you ever had that before? Like I just share things that happen in my life. And what I tend to find is when I share those, there's connection points. Like even when I shared our daughter going to Kentucky, how many people came out, go Cats, and hey, we live in Kentucky, or we went to Kentucky. Awesome. I share soccer stuff. Oh man, who's your favorite team? You got this going, all these things. Working out, my fitness journey. I go on and on. I just started sharing all these things because what I realized is like, if we were to have a conversation, like those are things I genuinely enjoy. Well, if I put them out there, people that are also enjoying those same things will go, hey man, yeah. My kid played soccer and travel and all this stuff, or they went to college recently. Like, I can't tell you how many people we bonded with, the parents of their first kids going to college, our oldest. We're all like, what is happening? This is so different than, no one told us this or that, we're all bonding together. And I think people are just afraid to share that. They're so business focused, right? Or you got the people that are just so socially focused that you don't even know what they do. And to create a blend of that, of you need proof, you need proof of what you've done and your accomplishments and the things that you do and the recognition, all that there. And then I think your body of work, as you start to share it, will be some of the proof. And then going on podcasts like this, engaging with people, going to events and all that. And what I've learned is, even when I speak, I tell stories that are just real from the heart, things that I've experienced and I've learned. What it's done, even today I was speaking to another mortgage company, and it was so cool afterwards. The people, what they resonated with was not the 3-step framework. It was the story of me being real with them about, hey, here's where I struggled. Here's what I learned going through that struggle. If you're going through that, here's what you can do to get out of that. Like, I think we just oftentimes miss the story in serving somebody that's right in front of you with something you experienced. And Roy Vaden shared this as you're most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were. And Ed Milet's got a version of that. But I often think about it as like, my brand is there to serve the people that are 2, 3, 5, 10 years behind of where I am today. Like that Brian, like me, I wish I knew these things 5 years ago. Like I would be better in every area. So I give those things away.
What you're sharing does not sound overly complicated. And I think that's probably by design. Where do you think a lot of people listening to this are going to get tripped up? Because I'm hearing it, I'm like, yeah, this all sounds really simple. But you hear so many people like, oh, it's got to be this way or that. It's almost like we invent reasons not to do work, or we overcomplicate things so that we can get out of doing them. I don't get it. But what you're saying doesn't sound overly complicated. It sounds really simple and straightforward. Where do you think people get tripped up?
Simple is not easy. And I shared this weekend, I believe, and I know I experienced this myself, is I just negotiated with myself. Like, I need to become this content creator. I need to have this camera. I need to have this quality stuff. I need to post this many times. Well, this influencer over here said you need to do it this way, so I'm going to do it that way. This person said, quality over quantity, so I'm just going to post like when it's just really good and it's great. This person said post 10 times a day. And you get all this noise, and all of that to me is what takes the simple and makes it really, really hard. And what I would share with you is just take it one day at a time. And what I do now is I do plan out on Sundays. Part of my Sunday success planning is I do plan out. And a lot of mine is going through, I'm more of a ChatGPT fan just because I've built out my avatar, I've uploaded all my brand docs, like I've done a lot of pre-work, and so all that's there. And I go in and I just audio download things that have happened this week. Hey, here was something that happened this week that I learned. Here are some things that I feel like would be of value. Let's start working together to create a post around that. Cool. And so I do keep it simple. And I tell you, like, that's not hard with it. I don't overthink it. A lot of times I'll post something, and Grant, I think it's the best post ever. I'm like, man, I've poured my heart and soul into this, and crickets. And then I do another post that was literally, I'll give you an example of one that was around Halloween. Nicole and I, and I had this like AI, we had dressed up, and all these, I think it was like Batman and something else. And I just remember going, Why does that get so much engagement? Because there is a level of entertainment as you start to do this
Anymore,
that is
100%.
still, right? Still just how we're designed as humans. And so as you're doing this, you're going to document over create, but remember to include some of the entertainment in there. And the only way to get better, just like sports, and you know this, Grant, playing multiple sports and all that, the only way I got better on the soccer field was actually go play soccer. I could watch tape. I could watch other people play soccer. I could visualize playing soccer. Like all these things could happen. The best way to get better was to go put the reps in, to go play, to go train, and then to get feedback. And so the same is true with this, is don't overthink it. There are people out there far less intelligent than you, less, experienced than you, less money than you, like all these things. And they're out there throwing content against the wall and they're making things happen. So it's time to get in the game. And the last piece I would leave with you on that is when I shifted my mindset from this now is a battle. If I don't go do it, somebody's going to come take my people, take my business, and take my opportunities. Yeah. And that ain't, the competitor in me is what drives me. Yeah. That ain't happening.
I love those people that say, no, you should collaborate, don't compete. And I'm like, okay, let's keep collaborating.
It's both.
But this is a game. Like this is a game.
I'm still competing.
I'm here to win. Yeah. Like every athlete, former athlete that I've talked to is like, nah, I'm here to win. I'm not here. I think, when you're on a team, I had a coach one time, he said, baseball is the most individually aspected, team-oriented sport. And I think most sports are like that. So there's a collaboration component on my team, and then there's a competitive component with everybody else. And I love to compete. To me, like I really relate to what you said there at the end. Is like, no, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna do whatever I got to do to win, legally, ethically, morally, all of those things. But I want to play the game, and I want to play to win, 100%. What would be the top ways that we as listeners of the Partner Profit Podcast could partner with you? What can we do to support you right now? What's important?
Matt, 3 ways. Really simple is obviously our mortgage team. We work in all 50 states. So across the country, if you have any mortgage needs, refinancing, we do a ton of DSCR investor stuff, helping people with hard money. But we do all the other stuff, FHA, conventional, VA, all of those, help you build your dream home. That's what we do every day. That's my bread and butter. And then what we do to support that, just to add value, is I've got a newsletter every week on LinkedIn. And that's jamming. You'd appreciate this. We're almost to 10,000 subscribers, so we're working that one up. And then I do the Competitive Edge podcast, which we bring on some amazing guests, kind of like this, flip the script. I do some solo episodes now. Some people wanted some of that. That's usually 15 minutes or less, down and dirty, just into something I'm learning. So if you enjoy that type of medium there, join in with that. That'd be it. And just let us know that something made value or caught your attention today, and you're like, guys, this helped me. That kind of feedback, it helps us, right?
Love it. We'll make sure that we link up all the ways that people can support you in our show notes. Man, I appreciate you spending some time with me today. It was definitely a valuable conversation.
Awesome. Thanks, Grant.
All right. Thanks, guys. And thank you all for continuing to listen to the Partner Profit Podcast. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace.